It's 1 hour and 12 minutes for me to get to Last Buddy from here tomorrow. And that's exactly how I'll go. I'll go through shallow water all the way up to Sudan, then I'll take a right, and I will cover lots of territory that has nothing in it, except, I don't even know if there's cotton growing there or something. So we're looking at, from my house, it's probably about 95 miles. So I'm leaving early to get there by 8 a.m. Good morning, New Deal. Good morning, Post. I do need to send the facilitators another document. I decided to add that one that says Alubis. So we can see the seniors are leaving most likely seniors sitting in there. Thanks. Okay, Martin. All right. Okay. All right. There's nothing like watching what's going on. By the way, you cannot carry a weapon over on the Loveland campus today because there's a meeting. They want you to not do that. Oh. Do you ever have the feeling? It's at 8:58, so we're okay on time. So. Y'all are all here, except for Kutsia, who's home. Exposure to COVID. Right. What we're going to look at today is the narrative outline, that one you just put down, then we're going to look at some grammar pages. Okay. And because there's a grammar quiz next Friday. Thanks. I've taken a long time to let you guys write this narrative. I think, boy, that's nice of me. It's going to give me enough time to get all the paragraphs graded. That's what it's going to do. I can delete that. I appeared in 2 searches this week. On LinkedIn. I don't know why I joined it. I get all these notifications from them. I don't do anything with it. Sorry. Twitter account. I've gotten 11 recent notifications on Twitter. I haven't been into my Twitter account in 3 years. I still get notifications. Do you guys do Twitter? What do y'all do? What's your social media of choice? Instagram. Instagram? Yeah. Snapchat? Yeah. Snapchat. So is Snapchat, you take a picture and you post it and people will comment on it? Basically, Instagram, you don't do TikTok? No, I don't know. I'm not in, I just, I Facebook because it's a lot easier for me to contact family members. And instead of calling them, I don't have to spend that time. Sounds bad. That sounds rude, doesn't it? I really only, I get on Facebook to check and see who's got problems in their lives that I know. All right, we're waiting on New Deal. What's going on? Come on, New Deal, get there. Let's talk about what you have to do first. Tomorrow, you will take quizzes over chapters 3 and chapter 4. Obviously, the kids will do them during class time. You guys have a little more leniently. It's just easier for them if they do them in class time. But if you can't find the quiz on Saturday, it's because they don't show up on Saturday. They only show up on the day you're supposed to take it. We don't get multiple days to take the test. I am allowing a little bit of leeway with last week. You know, it was the first week of school. But now, if the quiz is due this week, you need to take it on the day it's assigned. That's why the syllabus is important. I have a student who wants to write down everything I say in class, and I go, just get your schedule, write down everything. But this is better for me. Do what you want. But don't tell me you missed a test because you didn't look at the syllabus that told you you had a test due that day. Because all the tests will be taken online in Blackboard. All the tests. So, there's no point in, don't say, well, I missed it. That's your fault. I gave you time. Okay, let's go talk about how to pass those chapter tests, okay? So when you go in here and you sign up you take the quiz. Well, let's come over here. All right, so chapter 3 quiz. I suggest before you go to take the chapter 3 quiz, open up the ebook. So when you go into the ebook, chapter 3, I'm not sure, well, here, I can just do it the quick way. I'm not even in the right section, but it doesn't matter, all the books are the same. I can go to the table of contents, which obviously I was on the quotes there that we did last time. I can go to essay writing, part 1, because chapter 3 is going to be early in the book, isn't it? Those are parts, not chapters. So I come down here and I see on essay writing, I'm going to get rid of that, and I can see preview. Here we have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. All I have to do is click on chapter 3 and it'll take me to chapter 3. So I might take this down just a little bit more. Okay. The first and second steps in essay writing, it'll tell you what you're going to discover. Then you've got pictures. Remember how we went through it and I said you don't have to do the exercises, that's not an issue. But it tells you what it's going to do. Then here, I would just say, okay, step 1 is on page 52. Just make a little note on a piece of scratch paper next to you. Step 1, page 2, which is you need a point or thesis. Then go down and say, don't worry about the activity. Writing a good thesis, 1. So writing a good thesis is on page 53. Do you see what I'm telling you to do? I'm telling you where to go, how to figure out where to go find the information in the ebook when you take the quiz. And it gives you some subject. It gives you some information. Activity 2, you can skip past those activities, okay? How to limit and focus your thesis. You might say, that's on page 54. Just so look at the headings, subheadings, and any other items that are pulled out significantly, like that's italicized, so it's trying to catch your attention. And do that for the chapter. Take you maybe 5 or 6 minutes to do that, wouldn't it? You haven't really read it. But when you go take the quiz, it goes, if there's a question about how to limit your thesis, then you go, that's on page 54, so all you have to do is go to the ebook, because you can open up the test and then flip between screens, right? But just remember, you've only got 60 minutes to take the quiz. So don't try to do the outlining or the page thing before you start the quiz. You've got 60 minutes. Once you start it, you can't leave it. You cannot exit out and go back in. It will assume that you finished the quiz. So you have to finish it while you're in it. So that's the easiest way to take those quizzes, and that's tomorrow. On Sunday night, you need to have completed the outline for the narrative outline. This is 25 points of your grade. All right, this is 25 points out of that whole 1,000. You have to do 3 outlines over 3 different essays, the narrative, compared contrast, and the argumentative. But these aren't outlines like you traditionally think of an outline, where you have the big one, and then you have the thesis, and then you have 2, and you've got your points under it. These are more about, it's trying to get you thinking about what you're going to write, because you're not even going to start drafting the paper until next week. And so don't worry, it's got us doing something, but we're not going to be doing that. I'll have us doing a different activity. Let's see. Let me go see. I realized that when I created the syllabus, I was just guessing what I was going to be doing sometimes. Doesn't that sound great? Oh, it says discuss interests and conclusions. We already went over those. So we're actually going to be using the textbook on next Thursday, okay? So you need to be sure and have some way to access your textbook, okay, on Thursday, whether it's laptop or if you've got Blackboard on your phone. It's hard to read the textbook on your phone, I'll just tell you. All right, so that's what you need to do. Uh-oh, hold on. yes, Mr. Rathburn, if you can get copies made, they don't have to have it for today, or they can have it next week. I just thought the Awubis is such a good handout to have. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna look at the one that says narrative outline. So when you're in your class, go to, I'll come back over here to this link, go to content, and when you go into week 2, and remember, the week in which something is assigned is where you will find it in course content. So don't go wandering around looking for tests. Go to week 2 and look for chapter 3 quiz, chapter 4 quiz, 2 separate quizzes, okay? So as you scroll down, you're going to see there's the information. Here's the quizzes will show up in here for you guys, not until tomorrow. And down here I have the narrative outline. And this is a discussion board. Discussion boards are a little bit easier to grade than documents that are turned in. So, because what I want you to do is I don't want you to attach a document with the answers to this. I want you to actually fill it out in the discussion board. So there's the questions, like just what you have on that copy of the outline. You have a copy of these questions. So, but click on this. That takes you to the discussion board. And you're going to go, oh, there's nothing there. Create a thread. So if you come up here, it gives you forum description. All you got to do is click and highlight and copy those questions. You know, Alt-C or Control-C is copy, and I come down here and I can go Control-V and paste them in, and I keep the formatting, and then they're already in there for me to see what you answered on those questions. I don't really want a document attached because then I have to stop and download the document, and I have to have it on the screen, and then I have to go back and put your grade in. So, and then the subject is my outline, okay? And you answer the questions, and then you click submit. You don't have to go respond to anybody else's. What's going to happen on Tuesday is I'm going to go in, and I'm going to open up at the first persons, and I'm going to look at what they responded to these, and I'm going to do kind of a quick verbal grading of those. Does that make sense? That's what I'm going to do. And the only way you won't get full credit of 25 points for that is if you write one word. Does that make sense? You're going to have to give me answers. You can't just play around. So I'm going to exit out of this because I don't want to put that in there. But just remember, copy the questions, put them in where it's the thread you're creating, and answer them in there. Now I'm going to open up a copy of the document right here. And I tell you where these questions occur in the Langen textbook also. Because right after these questions, they give you a student's answers. So let me get over there. It's on page 241, so I got to get there. Well, I thought it was it's 240, isn't it? My bad. Is that what it says on that up at the top, or does it say E241? Oh, yeah, okay, this is it. See how it says the incident should be, the first one says the incident should include a conflict. 2 says it should be limited in time. 3 says evoke emotional response, and 4 says must fully support. I just pulled it out where it's a little bit more question form, easier for you to think of an answer to a question than what are they really asking you to do in those. And so I went off of this. What statement have I chosen as my thesis? That's if you're working from a quote, but it is in the textbook, so you have examples of what another student wrote. So what is the conflict or source of tension in your essay? What statement have you chosen as your thesis? I got so excited yesterday. I'm sitting in my office, and there's a knock on my door, and it's one of my students that I just had in class 2 hours previously wanting some help on creating this document. I'm like, okay. It's been so long since I had students show up in my office for help instead of making up work. And there weren't even that many of those, so it was kind of cool. But, so I said, the first thing he goes, how do I do this? And I said, well, what are you writing about? I need to know that first off. And he said, I'm going to write about my relationship with my father. And I said, okay. So what is the conflict or source of tension in your essay? If you're writing about your relationship with a father and you're a guy, sometimes they're stressful, aren't they? Because guys are always, young men are wanting to become grown men. And the older you get, the more you want to be responsible for yourself, right? And dads are like, no, you're not ready for this. Dads don't want their little boys to grow up. Many of them. Some of them are ready to kick you out of the house and get going on your own, right? So what is the source of tension? And the tension is the issues between a father and son in a relationship, okay? So the next thing says, what statement have you chosen as your thesis? If you don't use a quote, and that would be where the quote would come in, but if you're going to do that, for that student I said, your thesis could be as simple as this. You don't have to have 3 different things you're going to talk about. You can just say, my relationship with my father is very complicated. And wouldn't that describe a lot of different things that go on in a relationship? So, and he was like, okay, that makes sense. I can do that. And so that's what you're going to do. Whether you're writing about the source of tension, well, your favorite vacation, the source of tension is how much, it's not, don't think of it as something negative, as conflict and tension, but whatever's happening then. If you're going on your vacation, what's the tension? Going to a place and having a good time, that's tension, you know. Or if you're writing a scary story, there's tension there too. I'm going to tell you, well, no, I'll tell you later on. Let's finish the next question. The incident should be limited in time. So when I was talking with that student, I said, are you going to write about, you're not going to write about all 17, 18 years of your life? And he goes, no. And I said, so if you're just going to cover one incident that kind of showed that pull and push in the relationship, then it might be a day or 2. And one of the best short stories ever written is called The Story of an Hour, so guess how long it takes? The events of the story take place within 60 minutes. It's only 2 pages long. You might have read it. It tends to be anthologized in junior literature books, grade 11. It's written by Kate Chopin, and it's written in about 1900 or so it's a different kind of story. It's very feminist in nature, for at least at that time. But so, you know, you have to figure out, you're not going to write about, if you're going to write about your granddad, and you want to write about your granddad's life and how he overcame lots of obstacles, you might be covering 50 years, but you might have to say, your thesis might have to be, my grandfather overcame many obstacles to be successful, like having to quit school young, serving in the war, and suffering cancer. See how you would have 3 short little stories about that. So you're actually covering, the time period's going to be 40 to 50 years. But you have to make sure that it's manageable. So that's why it's asking the question. It should be limited in time. So that's why putting your thesis in, if you're going to write about your granddad and why he's your hero, you might need to pick 3 incidents or 3 things that show he's heroic. Or there may just be one. I don't know. I'm not you. I can make up stories all day long. Okay, what emotional response for 3 does your narrative create in you, the writer? Do you think it will draw or evoke a similar response in your reader? So when he's writing that essay about his father with that student, it's going to be happy. It could be sad. It could be both, couldn't it? So when you write, if you're writing about your granddad who died of that cancer, I don't know if he did. I'm not trying to make you sad. Some sadness should come out, correct? Or if you're writing something scary, it should be there. I'm watching. Over the weekend, I decided to flip over. It said A Nightmare was the title of something, but the next movie sounded intriguing. So I turned it on. I could tell there was only like 5 minutes left or less. And it's A Nightmare on Elm Street. I've never seen a complete or even parts of one. And now I know I never will. Because it's at the end, and I can tell the guy and the girl have survived whatever Freddy has done to them. I just know it's Freddy in The Nightmare, right? He's the guy with the long fingernails and the melted face. Isn't that Freddy Krueger? Okay. Jason is the one in the mask who drowns or supposedly drowns, right? Okay, so I'm sitting there watching that, and the guy and the girl are successful, and the girl's mom picks her up, and she takes her home, and she gives her hugs, and he says, I'm so glad, I'm here to help you. And so you see the girl's face as the mother says that, and then it cuts to the girl, and she's looking back at her mother. This is the end of the movie. And in the mirror behind her, you see Freddy Krueger, and he takes a knife and he stabs it through her brain out her eyes. And I screamed. My husband's like, what's going on? And the movie ended. And that's why I don't watch horror movies, because I'm going to have nightmares about that probably. I keep talking it out, hoping what to do. But it evoked in King or whoever wrote that, it evokes fear, you know, so if you're going to write. That's what you want to do. So what emotion does it evoke in you? And the point is to try to get that emotion, the same emotion, to come out in your reader. Instead of, you know, when you use the wrong word or something, it might make me laugh. I have done that in serious papers because students have used the wrong words. And I know it's a serious subject. I don't write down, oh, you got this so wrong, it made me laugh. I don't write that down. That's me. But I've been known to laugh and read something to someone in my family. It only works with English teachers, though. So that's question 3. And the last one in, does the incident fully support the statement you have chosen? Do you really get your point across about what you're trying to tell? Where the conflict or the relationship with your father is a problem or complicated. Your grandfather's a hero. Your trip to Bahamas was the best vacation of your life. You better have showed me that it was the best vacation. If you spend all your time talking about getting in the car and driving to Dallas, and then that's half of your paper, then the next quarter of your paper is about the flight, and you've got one quarter about the Bahamas, that's not showing me that that was the best vacation of your life. Be sure you're focusing on the important stuff, okay? And that's what's due Sunday night. And on Tuesday, I'm gonna fly through those and tell you what I think, if you're headed in the right direction. Okay? So that's the narrative outline. So now we're gonna talk grammar, punctuation, and mechanics. All right? Because you have your first quiz coming up. Let's see, let me get out of there. Don't say. Okay. One of the things that you have available to you in your course is when you go in, remember content is about what we have due in the weeks. Anything else has to be somewhere else. So in course resources, I have a grammar unit. First off, it's got information about SPC tutoring. That's available to everybody because they do have links to online. You have to click on this and it will take you to the SPC tutoring site. Let me get out. Already got it up. And it tells you that you can make appointments. You can also use Pingy. You download Pingy and you can set up an appointment or do it. I think you can also do virtually. And it tells you where the locations are. That's one of your tutoring options. If you scroll down, let's go back. You're going to see tutor.com tells you you have 183 minutes. This goes for the kids at the schools. That's the one that's from 8 p.m. at night till 8 a.m. in the morning. So if you're having some issues with a paper and you want to say, hey, help me out, can you guys at tutoring.com, I'm uploading my paper, I really need some help with comma splices, because I tend to do that. Then they'll help you out. And it gives you the hours. Here's the link to it. You just click on it. And they'll tell you how much time you have left. Schedule a tutoring session. They'll even let you take a quiz if you need to. Connect with a tutor right now. But it's going to say there's nobody available during the middle of the day. Okay? So on down here, Purdue OWLs, great resource when you're talking about documentation. But right at the bottom is grammar worksheets. So when you click that open, you're going to see comma splices, run-on handout, fuse run-on sentence exercises. So those are the ones that you got copies of today. I just sent earlier to my facilitators an AWUBIS handout. AWUBIS is an acronym for subordinating conjunctions, all right? And the reason it's in there, it's one of the last ones that looks like this. It's one of the last ones I gave you. The reason it'll look like this when you guys get it. AWUBISes are important, because were you told in high school, I don't know about you guys at New Deal and at Post, what you were told, never to begin a sentence with the word because? What happens is, because is a subordinating conjunction. When you begin a sentence with it, because it was Thursday, because what? You see where you're left hanging? It creates a dependent clause. So you have to say, because it was Thursday, comma, we did not have lab that day. When you have a dependent clause at the beginning of the sentence, you have to have a comma. Subordinating conjunctions do that. And so what this document basically tells you then is that, I'll come flip over here. Well, try the document camera. Basically says if you begin a sentence with any of these words, you must have a comma at the end of the dependent clause. Not after the subordinating conjunction, but at the end of the clause. And so they give you an example. After the tornado roared through the small town, comma, the state sent in troopers to search for survivors. See how that's that dependent clause at the beginning. And then, but it tells you if it's in the middle, if your dependent clause occurs at the end of your sentence, there's no comma. So do not put commas in front of the word because if it's in the middle of your sentence. Only coordinating conjunctions get them. And we'll go on that. So that's what this document is about. So it comes in handy because I've only completely finished one section. I'm working on others, but I actually have somebody who wrote a lot of dependent clauses. Some people were putting the commas, some were not. So that's one reason why I decided to toss this document in early. So let's look at comma splices. It says less than comma splices. It shows up as a, okay, oh, that's fuse run on. Here we go. I've got them both up already since I taught this earlier. Okay, so here we go. And so when you take that quiz next Friday over comma splices and fused run-on sentences, that's next Friday. Chapters 3 and 4 are tomorrow. Bless you. Next Friday. Have these worksheets out there in front of you, because you're going to have right answers on these sentences, how to fix them, and you've got the information on how to correct it. So you should be able to, and the test is not, I think it's true-false. Is this sentence grammatically correct or not? So if it's not grammatically correct, the only reason it would not be correct is because it's either a comma splice or a fused run-on. Okay? So here, let's take this down just a little bit in size. To understand what's going on with comma splices, you need to know what a clause and independent clause means. And so some people use the term run-on sentence to refer to both fused sentences and comma splices. They're different errors. So a comma splice is when you have a comma that joins two independent clauses without a coordinating conjunction. Okay? You have to have more than a comma. You can't just use a comma between two independent clauses. And I've seen a lot of those in the paragraphs that I've graded. Got to watch out. So there's the definition of fused. We're not going to worry about that. Let's come down here. But look at this example of an independent clause. You've got it on your page. It says, Robert ate worms. That's an independent clause. Subject is Robert. His action is ate, the predicate. And what did he eat? The direct object? Worms. It's embarrassing because Robert is like 23 years old, okay? And he's eating worms. Here's another independent clause. Mary dislikes Robert. Same issue. Mary dislikes what? Does she dislike? Robert or who? So now you've got a comma splice with Robert ate worms and Mary dislikes Robert. She dislikes him because he eats worms. You can't just put a comma there. You have to do something else. So to splice something is to join it. It also means to cut. But most of the time splice involves joining. If you splice audio together, video together, okay? So how do you fix a comma splice? You can make two sentences instead of one. Robert ate worms, period. Mary dislikes Robert. Be careful. Don't write a lot of teeny tiny short sentences, because I'm going to go, that's pretty, the shorter your sentence, the less educated you sound. Does that make sense? Short, like, I can remember sitting in kindergarten and first grade, and C-spot run, and I'm like, this is boring. I'm at the end of the book where they're up to, chapters by then. So, because it indicates you don't know how to create more complex sentences, more interesting sentences. Okay? You can use a semicolon, Robert ate worms, semicolon, Mary dislikes Robert. So that semicolon, when you put it in there, indicates that there's a relationship between those two sentences. That's why they have a semicolon between them. So you have to realize that she dislikes him because he eats worms. Or I could have said, Mary dislikes, Robert ate worms. As a result, Mary dislikes Robert. That's kind of what the semicolon's saying. Or you can use the subordinating conjunction. Remember, that's the Awubis list. And they give you because, when, since, although, and more. Then they talk about using a conjunctive adverb, which is, the conjunctive adverbs are those big ones. So what happens then is you're like, what are the conjunctive adverbs? I have no clue. So you go. If you're not sure what conjunctive adverbs are, there. What are the conjunctive adverbs? Don't sit there and think, I can't find them in our e-textbook. Just Google it. Okay? So I would maybe avoid Wikipedia, but conjunctive adverbs, purpose and use. You just click on one of those. Maybe it's going to open. Here we go. They give you conjunctive adverbs. Here's a list. They give you the list. Actually, one of these, if you open up this document, what this tells you is the function of the conjunctive adverb, and then so additionally means you're going to add on some more information. That's what the left-hand column tells you there. So that gives you a lot of the conjunctive adverbs. So, but however is the one most frequently used. That's the one I see kids liking to use most of the time. And get back over here. So, and there are only two times you use semicolons. You never use semicolon and put a but after it. You don't do that. Because but is a fanboy. Do you guys know what fanboys are? Here's a list of it. It says fanboy is basically an acronym for the coordinating conjunction. Come over here. I've got it over here. So if you want to, on your comma splice sentence, write out, it's on the page, but you might miss it because it's in that bulleted list. If you just go on the side and write fanboys like this, and then you just put for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so. And so when you see those in the middle of a sentence, you need to verify that there's independent clauses on both sides. If there are, put the comma in front of the coordinating conjunction. The comma goes here, commas go over here, not here. Don't ever put the comma after the but. That's the one everybody wants to put the comma after. Or you'll go so, comma, and I can just hear it's, because we are told by a lot of instructors that you put a comma wherever you would pause when you're speaking. That's not true. That's not a grammar rule. Wherever you would take a breath, because some people, might have lung cancer and they have to take a breath every other word. You don't put a comma in there because of that, okay? So, but this will help. When you see a sentence on the test and it has, I love to eat spaghetti, comma, yet I always spill it on my clothes. When you see a yet in the middle of the sentence, you'll know, okay, this might be a comma splice, or it might be a fused run-on. Because the test, I'm not going to tell you which it is. You have to figure that out. So having this page with that on it spelled out where you can see it clearly will help. Remember, though, you can't use words like however and so just because they make the sentence grammatical sense. They have to make meaning sense. And you cannot use two howevers in one paragraph. That's not good. That means two exceptions. Two buts is the same way. Be careful. Those words add meaning to a sentence. Like I told you how the semicolon, Robert ate worms, semicolon, Mary dislikes Robert. I could go, Robert ate worms, semicolon. As a result, comma, Mary dislikes Robert, you see? So that's they give meaning to the words. So you have to be careful. So if you're not sure what a conjunctive adverb means, go look it up online. So right after this, you've got, they tell you that because and so and therefore all create relationships between words. You need to be careful. So we've got, let's see, 8 sentences here. So, new deal, you guys do the odd number sentences, and we'll say that Isaiah and, is it Julius?
Yes.
Okay, you guys do the odd number sentences, and then Post and the other 3 in here, you guys do the evens. Do we know evens and odds? Odds 1, 3, 5, 7. Evens 2, 4, 6, 8. Y'all do those very quickly, and you don't have to rewrite the entire sentence. You can just fix it in the space where it's up there. If you want to rewrite it, please feel free to. I realized that that's what they were doing at my 8 o'clock class. I'm like, just fix it in the blank space. It's going to be the one that says, the first sentence on it says, each sentence below is wrong. It has a comma splice. That is the comma splice worksheet. That's why when I gave them to you, they were in order of the way they were going. So, you should have worksheets. Were you on the comma splice page? What's the very first sentence on that one? Huh? Okay, no, but on number 1, what does it say? Each sentence below, okay, yeah, you're on the right one then, sorry. Exercises, but if you look at it, each sentence below is wrong. Look at the top, the sentence right above it. That's what I thought you were reading to me. Yeah, the sentence right above it is the sentence on number 1. You should get it right, whoever has the odds.
Hey, we have the odds even. Oh, we have the...
You have the odds, they have the even. I'm glad you told me because I forgot. Okay. So it should be easy to fix the first one if you have the odds. May the odds be ever in your favor. Ooh, I don't wanna write that word. Somebody just asked me if they could use the quotes in the book for the essay. And I said, yes, they can be used for the essay, or you can work from the topic list, but I typed in lust, so I changed that. That's not good. Wrong message to send to you guys. You only have to do 4 sentences, so it shouldn't take very long, okay? Okay, let's stop and go over these really quickly, okay? And so, it's so hard for me to hear you guys, that's why splitting you in half allows me to, you guys can help me with answers. I would pick on the schools, but then I have to scoot over next to the speaker so I can hear them, so. All right, the first one, the odds were New Deal in the front row at SPC. Each sentence below is wrong, it has a comma splice. If you were smart, you'd change that comma to a semicolon, because that's right above it, that's how it's done. Or, each sentence below is wrong, semicolon, therefore, comma, it has a comma splice. See how you, so, there are lots of ways. Period, capital letter I, there's lots of ways to fix it. Previously, in previous years, I have had students correct the quizzes. I actually gave them the sentence and I said corrected. Then I had to grade all those, and that took a long time. So when my husband had a stroke, I thought, this is crazy. I need to create tests that are graded that I don't have to spend 4 hours grading or 3 hours. Because everybody does it differently. But that's the nice thing about English, is we can correct things in many different ways. Next up, Eliza ran to the store, then she bought some candy. What did you guys do? Yeah, and then she bought some candy? Did you do anything different? And either? You change it to a semicolon? If you change the comma to a semicolon, you have to put a comma after then, okay? And Alex, did you do anything differently?
I just wrote out a sentence.
You just wrote what?
Just a sentence.
Oh, how'd you change the sentence?
I just put Eliza ran to the store to buy candy.
Okay, and that's acceptable, but if you're going to correct a comma splice, you should do it the easiest way possible, which is to make it a semicolon, make it a period, a capital letter. That's what we're asking for.
Oh.
But no, you made it, it's fine the way you did it. But we don't, sometimes we want to have 2 independent clauses. It's called variety in our sentence structure. If we always do everything the same way, when you write all your sentences and they're all patterned the exact same way, that becomes boring for the reader. So that's why we need to have dependent clauses at the beginning, dependent clauses at the end. Complex, compound, where you have 2 independent clauses and a dependent clause, so there's lots of ways to create it, because variety helps the reader's mind stay with you. That's why I was saying, don't write lots of short, choppy sentences. I had somebody on their paragraph, and they had the first sentence was fairly long, the second and then there were 3 or 4 sentences in a row that had 5 or 6 words in them. And that becomes very simplistic sounding. So variety is important. So the focus in this, when we're talking about this, is to correct it the quickest and easiest way possible. But that's all right. What you did was acceptable. Okay, so now we go to the stock market has moved in one direction lately. It has gone down. What'd you guys do?
I put because in front of it.
Because the stock market has moved in one, you put it up front?
Yeah.
Because the stock market has moved in one direction lately? I think that's a wrong setup on the relationship.
Oh, okay.
You would, because it's not, because it's a cause and effect relationship, and that's not what you have going on in the sentence. Did you do anything different, Jose? Okay. So the stock market has moved in one direction lately. Semicolon, unfortunately, comma, it has gone down. Now, unfortunately is not a conjunctive adverb. It's an adverb modifying the rest of the sentence, okay? Or you could go, I know, all I can come up with are words, are adverbs to put sadly it has gone down, but that would be a semicolon in front of it. So, I think you need something. Yeah, we want the stock market to go up. You want your stock to be of greater value. Trust me, I own a little bit of stock, and when it goes down, my portfolio's value goes down, and my dividends go down. I don't make that much. I make about $10,000 a year off of my dividends. So that's not that much. It's not enough to retire and live on, I'll tell you that much for sure. Okay, here we go. Elvis Presley was a great singer. He was never really accepted by the country music's mainstream. I didn't think Elvis Presley was a country western singer to begin with. Though he came out of Memphis, right, and Nashville. That's where he originally performed in the South. So I'm already like, did we do anything, Lauren?
Same thing, semicolon, however.
So, well, however, but okay, yeah, it would work there. However, he was never really accepted by country music's mainstream. Do anything different, Cale?
I just added but.
But he was never really accepted. Yeah, I mean, he was a great singer, but I always figured he was rock. Early rock. But, so I don't think that's the best sentence. So you see where we're going? All right, computer programs help us live saner lives. Obviously, the people who write them should make lots of money. Computer programs help us live saner lives. Obviously, it's that adverb kind of modifying the entire sentence after it. So you could put a semicolon, and you don't need a comma. You can put a comma after, obviously, but we tend to only put it after little phrases of 3 or more words. You could go, comma, and the people who write them you could get rid of, obviously, and the people who write them should make lots of money. I keep hoping my son will get there someday. I don't know if he's writing programs. He actually does. He is a server. I don't even know what his title is for the Health Science Center. He's on the server team, so the server team that handles all the stuff that the nursing instructors and the students use and all that. The next one, Dubai has built magnificent office towers with luxuries and conveniences. It is considered a great location in which to conduct international business. I would have put so. See how there's a cause effect? Or I could have said, because Dubai has built magnificent office towers with luxuries and conveniences, comma, it is considered, see how you could put the because in front of that, and it makes more sense. Because it has built magnificent office towers, because of this, it is now this. See the cause and effect there on that one. Or you say that and then put comma so. You with me on that one? That's because works better there. Let's see, 7. Brazil has won several World Cup championships. In soccer, they're always considered a good team. Didn't they lose the last World Cup pretty badly to someone? And the French are floppers. That's what my son tells me. If you ever watch French national soccer, they flop a lot on the ground. They won't get penalties, okay. You could go semicolon, as a result, comma. They're always considered a good team. You go semicolon, therefore, comma. They're always considered a really good or a good team. So there's lots of ways. Period. They are considered a good team. There's lots of ways to do it. You with me? All right. The last one. Oh, I just want to say these words. The Quaid-i-Azam campus of the Punjab University is considered excellent. It attracts many students. You could do the because. I wouldn't do although. Although would be the opposite. Although it's considered excellent, attracts many students. Not many students go there. That would be an although. So
Miss Thompson,
Yes. Hold on, I'm coming
Post is
closer.
confused. When are these due?
They're not due. We are doing these so that you can have them when you take the test next Friday. The quiz over common splices and fused run-on, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Uh-huh. I'm never gonna have you turn in exercises for grades. Then I have to grade them. That's why we're going over. So that's what's going on with that. So the next one is fused run-on sentences. I'm not gonna spend as much time. Basically, fused run-on sentences are where you don't put anything in. You just push the two sentences together and stop. There's nothing in there. So they give you an example. I'm gonna come down here. My father designs and installs wind turbines. He travels all over Saudi Arabia as an energy consultant. So what you have there, you have a complete thought, and you have two complete thoughts. My father designs and installs wind turbines is a complete thought. He travels all over he travels around all over the Saudi Arabia as an energy consultant. So they give you the two independent clauses, and they talk about what you can do. You can put a comma and a conjunction, a semicolon and a conjunctive adverb. They're also called adverbial conjunctions. They just flip it around, same thing. Or a period in a capital letter. So look at this example. Fashion shows in the clothes we wear. That's that long sentence right after example of a few sentences along with the comma splice. Fashion shows in the clothes we wear. It is constantly changing and repeating itself. Although fashion in the form of haute couture is everywhere, it isn't for everyone. So there's several errors in this sentence. So they break it down into clauses. Fashion shows in the clothes we wear. That's an independent clause. It stands alone, right? It is constantly changing and repeating itself. Another independent clause. And then we've got a dependent clause. Although fashion in the form of haute couture is everywhere, although fashion in the form of haute couture is everywhere, I'm still waiting for more information, aren't I? That's why it's dependent. It isn't for everyone. So, and if you ever watch any of the shows, I used to watch all of those, designer shows where they were competing to make the designs, and I got bored with it. Because they make stuff that I would never wear. Well, for one thing, I'd never be skinny enough to wear most of it, but, crazy. So, and this one, so you needed something, fashion shows in the clothes we wear. You've got to have something after that, comma, and it is constantly changing and repeating itself. Here we've got, I believe, okay. See, they have the comma splice there, so you've got to have the and it is constantly changing, and then you need something after itself. You could go semicolon. Yeah, you need a semicolon after itself, the way they've got it going here. Although fashion in the form of haute couture is everywhere, that's one of those oblivious words, although it isn't for everyone. So you had a fused run-in and a comma splice. So you have to be careful and determine where one main idea begins and one ends. And that can be touchy sometimes. So they give you the way to do it. Place a period between the two main ideas, place a semicolon between the two main ideas, and then you've got some examples here. Let's just do the same thing. The front row and New Deal do the odds, the back row and Post do the evens. And we're going to go through, let me check the time. Okay, 9:44. Just do a couple really quickly, and then I'm going to race through them. I would show you Grammar Bites, but there is a problem with, have you ever gotten into a website and they've got one of those big banners that always stays at the top? Grammar Bites has never had it before, and it now has it, and it makes it really hard to do the exercises, so. I'm going to give you one more minute, so just do a couple. And I'm going to race through them. I won't ask for any help, so we can get done. But I want to remind you, chapters 3 and 4 quizzes tomorrow, and your narrative outline is due Sunday night to Blackboard in the discussion board.
Narrative outline is Sunday.
Right, but you can draft what you want to write on that one, but when you click on the narrative outline, it'll take you to the discussion board, create a thread, copy the questions in, and then answer them in there.
But that's on the final one.
No, that's just an outline. It's only worth 25 points. Okay? All right, so Janine's uncle never graduated from high school. There's your first independent clause. He started his own landscaping company at 16. Period, capital letter H, semicolon, comma, and he started, all right. I have a Mac computer have had a Mac computer for a year already. I have no regrets about buying it. This one's a little trickier. You have to figure out which clause does already apply to. If you say I have had a Mac computer for a year, it makes sense. Already I have no regrets about it, doesn't make sense. Already has to go
Your
to
conference is scheduled to end in 2
So
minutes.
you've got to have semicolon, a period would do it because you've already got a capital letter after it. Semicolon, therefore, comma, I have no regrets about buying it. There's a lot of ways to fix it. People make their way across the desert. They arrive in trucks with little ventilation, and they are often beaten by the men who smuggle them. First independent clause, people make their way across the desert. Semicolon, sometimes they arrive in trucks with little ventilation, and they're often beat by the men who smuggle them. Makes me think of, they just got some Americans out of Afghanistan by driving across the country. You know, but they're not recommending that people try to do that, because if you're trying to escape, they'll probably shoot on sight, right? Or illegal aliens trying to get into the U.S. These political victories add up. It's not just money, but dignity at home and on the job. What's interesting is they give this one away because they have a capital letter I in the word it's. One of the things I've noticed, I'm going to throw it out there real quick, on some of the paragraphs, you have to capitalize I by itself. I have somebody who wrote their paragraph, and I had all these little I's in place of capitalized. Now, when you're writing for an English teacher, you can't do that. And it's not like your phone that autocorrects little I's to big I's, right? You've got to be sure and check for those things. So you can put, these political victories add up, period, because there's already a capital letter there. Immigrants can be sentenced to prison. Most are sent back to their native homelands. The way you spell immigrants actually tells you if they are coming to a country or leaving a country. And I don't remember which is which. But immigrants can be sentenced
Your
to
conference
prison,
is now over. Goodbye.
comma, we got a little bit of time. Have a great weekend. Good luck on your football games. Okay? Semicolon, most are sent back. Semicolon, therefore, most are sent back. Comma, and most are sent back. See, so there's a lot of ways to do it. Jamal's supervisor installed a new fingerprint reader. Semicolon, when employees arrive, comma, see, there's an awubis word. When is an awubis word? So you'd have to have when employees arrive, comma, they must enter an employee number and place their index finger on a small sensor. I think a semicolon probably works better than adding a conjunction and another word. The teacher distributed several worksheets. Some of them were taken directly from the textbook. Lord, that might actually be on the test. The teacher distributed several worksheets, comma, and some of them were taken directly from the textbook. Amar Chang has a goal in 14 consecutive matches. He is 3 shy of the record. All right, so Amar Chang has a goal in 14 consecutive matches, comma, and he is 3 shy of the record. What's a good word, better word? Nor, you wouldn't say nor. So, he is 3 shy of the record? I don't know. So implies that you knew how many the record was to begin with. So, all right. And the last one, the dog jumped and barked near the lake. He noticed an alligator swimming toward shore. The dog jumped and barked is the first dependent clause. Near the lake, he noticed an alligator swimming toward the shore. I don't think he's barking near the lake. I think he's, well, I don't know. I think you could do this one either way. What do y'all think? The dog jumped and barked near the lake, comma, no, I think near the lake has to go with he noticed. Yeah. Okay, have a great weekend. Don't forget to take the quizzes tomorrow and do the discussion board on the narrative outline, okay? And then we'll look at your outlines next week, and then on Thursday, you really need to have access to your textbook, because we're going to work on one of the readings in the textbook, okay?
Deputy Dan.
Oh, I hope so. It's called grading and grading. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.